Right, Stephen, since we last met 2 years ago, the local plan is still very much a hot potato, high on the agenda for a lot of local residents. In the last couple of years, we saw the Stobart's application get approved in Warrington, but then got thrown out by the Secretary of State. We've now got 656 looming large in people's minds again, with some tweaks to their plan and them announcing online that units are available to let already before it's even been discussed by planning in public. And then we've got everyone upset about the possibility of Greenbelt being gobbled up by these developments when most people don't want the Greenbelt to be built on. So again, turbulent times in the life of the local plan.
Well, I understand that, Gary, and my mailbox tells me that virtually every day. People are concerned about the quality of the environment and the life they have here in the town, and I fully understand that. But let me just say, every council has to have a local plan. Whatever you do, you have a local plan. If you don't have a local plan, you become easily the victim to developers, and the planning arrangements that people are opposing, you've described, become easier for developers to achieve. So we have to have a local plan. I think this time the local plan is different to the previous one. We did take account of what people said to us about loss of green space, number of housing units to be built in the town. You'll notice the number has fallen from the previous number. And that's also, remember, this local plan is not always the council's plan. It's a plan that we have to have, as I say, for government. As regarding planning applications for Stobart's and 656, we are still waiting for further information from those individuals. It's normal practice for developers to announce they are hoping to have units available, and I think that's exactly what happened with 656. But we have we had no discussions with 656, the investor or the developer, around that scheme. We'll wait until the planning application comes forward for proper consideration. So Peel Hall has been a massive issue for us.
I was going to bring up Peel Hall, because that there was the concern that was still in the local plan, and now people are blaming the council for.
Well, we shouldn't blame the council. They should blame the Secretary of State who gave the go-ahead. And the council's taken 2 QC pieces of advice, expensive legal advice, about can we challenge the local plan from a procedural point of view and their decision on Peel Hall. We are still evaluating the second opinion. The first opinion has made it very, very clear we would not have an opportunity to win if we went to court. The council and the councillors here decided they wanted the second opinion. As I sit in front of you today, Gary, we're still taking that advice. And we've spoken at some length to our friends at Peel Hall. We understand their concerns about the loss of green space and development. And I would think going forward, if we decide not to take a legal challenge, because that's what 2 QCs may suggest, there'll be an opportunity to make sure all the planning conditions are very closely monitored and focused upon as that site rolls out. I'm very sad about that, because Peel Hall in the north of the town is a very valued piece of green space and is environmentally rich. And for 30 years this has been around everyone's neck. The councils and the residents, and people I think have been very resilient, and to have that decision reached by the Secretary of State, not by the council, was a very disappointing decision.
So still very much uncertain times for people.
Yeah, very uncertain times, but there's a debate in the town about what's the optimum size of this town, what's the shape of the town, how much green space, how much green do we need for the lungs of the town, and so on. And that debate is actually within the local plan as well, and we've got to make sure that that local plan is enacted in a way that benefits not the town for the next 5 years, but for the next 50 years.
Going back to the south of the town and the 656, which is obviously causing a lot of concerns at the moment, it doesn't really help the public when they see the council working in partnership and working together with developers like Langtree, because it always gives the impression that there's going to be some kind of favouritism to them getting their developments through.
Well, we have pre-planning application discussion with every applicant, including the householders who want to build an extension to their house. It's no different, really. That doesn't mean that we are prejudiced in terms of considering an application, but it's normal practice in planning around the land, actually, not just in Warrington, for us to have those discussions. They are prejudicial. They're about making sure we're properly informed about major schemes. Now councillors have the opportunity to make the right decisions based on evidence and information.
I mean, personally, do you think a site the size of 656 could be accommodated in Warrington with the way the road networks are already? I mean, you've already put one Leaf Road in, and things seem to be back as bad as they were before it was even built.
It doesn't really matter what I think, it's the quality of the application. But I would say to you, Gary, any application for that part of our town will require major investment in road infrastructure, which the investor, the developer, would need to build into their plan and fund.
Okay, and do you think there is a need for that sort of work moving forward? I mean, particularly now where they can't even get drivers for lorries.
Well, it's not quite true they can't get drivers for lorries. There's a shortage, but this town has grown enormously in terms of logistics and distribution. Now, you know, given the history of the town and its manufacturing base, lots of people raise those issues with me. Is that the future? But they do generate well-paid jobs, secure jobs, and not all driving lorries. There's a lot of people working inside the distribution warehouses who are well-paid. They're not all just shelf and moving things around, pickers and so on. There's some very important jobs that are paid around engineering, robotics, artificial intelligence, and all that sort of thing that goes on in those warehouses. So the town is shifting in terms of its employment base and its business, and as a council we have to recognise that.
Okay, cheers Stephen.